So welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Earth Novel Hub. You see, I can still say it. Welcome. Good to have you here. And I'm sure there will be some more that are going to join us. I love your flowers, Sandrine, by the way. What is this? Some
It's
fun
a fiery peony.
peony. Okay.
It's
Right.
opened up so pretty.
Amazing. So we have, yeah, let's just chat. We haven't recorded for some time. So let's just see what we can share that could be useful for other people. And we just had a little discussion about the new doing that is coming back into fashion after having done all the being work and after, going inwards and inwards and inwards. And what if that inwards going now is the new embodiment of those energies that we've already anchored in. And now we're going to start them really, really embodying ourselves by coming back out again. And I don't want to call it doing because it's not the old way of doing, but I want to call it movement. So what if the new motivation, because lots of us have lost their passions and their, interest in lots and lots of things. What if the new motivation is actually movement?
I've been taking a Tai Chi class with my neighbor, and I read something really interesting this week, maybe like Sunday or something, where a woman on one of these groups that I follow was talking about the like original intention of the martial arts, right? They talk about martial arts like doing a form or creating a form. And when you're doing Tai Chi, right, you're moving like energy, right? And I'm a beginner. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but just watching the teacher and following along with the forms and talking to another lady who's experienced in the class, there's sort of like this going through the motion of it. But one of the ladies I was reading talked about our original, like the first seeding of Earth, and how I think it was, she called them the green fins, which is sort of like this first, I don't know, wave of incarnation. So like I think Lemurian times, like not the forms that we have now, but she was talking about the way that they created forms with the elemental energies and used sort of those martial arts type movements to create, right? Like the beautiful flower that's behind Sandrine, or the beautiful, the tree that's behind me, and taking that like elemental earth energy and intentioning a form, right? So there was this sort of like dance with movement and energy that was a creational process, and then of course became corrupted and used for destruction and fighting. And so then it had to also be used for protection, right? So there's a lot of these like warding off. I'm warding off here. I'm warding off here, right? You're just like pushing energy away more than gathering it to create with it now. So I find I've been really like mulling on that energy sort of all week, and this sort of dance with the elements that that I've been doing over the last 6 months or year or whatever, working more consciously with that energy to sort of like, I mean, flow. It's really a flow, isn't it? It's not like a creation or destruction per se. It's not just a beingness. It's a doingness. It's an energy movement. So I feel really, aligned with what you're saying, where for a long time it's just been stay still, right? Stay still and ground energy, stay still and ground light. And now it just seems like, oh, now we can pick up all of this blended light and elemental energy that we've been holding so much space for, and now begin to really create with it in a different, more playful, interesting way, I think.
Yeah.
I love everything you just said, Tanya, because I've kind of been doing the same thing the last 6 months. It was like I had done all this work really, 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 really fast. And I got to a certain place, and then I had to like sit in it for a while and just let it expand and integrate around me. And where I found my peace in that was in creating. Like that's where I felt like I still had movement even while I was in a moment of stillness. So I did a lot of paintings. I'm like you, Martina. I don't really have an attachment to whether or not they sell, but if they leave to go to somebody else, then that's that fewer things that I have piling up in my closet or in my garage. Or I'll paint over canvases because I love being able to feel the energy of like the layers. But now I feel that movement again, and like the act of working in my garden and like having my hands in the dirt and co-creating with the plants has a completely different energy. And like the land really speaks to me now as I work with it. Going hiking has been really special for me lately. Like used to the beings in the forest would talk to me, but now the light is communicating with me in a different way, and that's been very meaningful to me as well. And I just feel that uh, it's like that symbiotic relationship of like movement in the body with the energy, and being able to, the more I move my body, the more the energy around me moves. Martina, I'm talking fast because I'm in the middle of a class and I have to rejoin them in a few minutes. But you were talking about like the interactions and how you get so much out of the conversations that you're having at the gallery. I was at an engineering workshop yesterday. The city of Knoxville puts on like a business breakfast once a year, and I've gone every year for a long time. I've done a lot of work for the city of Knoxville. And so I went yesterday, and it was really a low attendance compared to previous years. But all the people that work for the city, you know, like they just have like a revolving line of people coming to give them a sales pitch and all that kind of stuff. So I watched the people that I came to see go through their lines, and I kind of waited for them to die down. And then I went up, and you could feel their energy shift instantly when they started talking to me. And instead of talking about business, they started to talk about all the things that were going on in their lives and the things that were bringing them joy and the things that they were still struggling with. And I found it so interesting because, like, I'm obviously an energetic person, but I'm also like an engineer and I do business development. And so the conversation could have been exactly the same, but it was very different for them with me because my energy was different and opened up a space for them just to be people trying to navigate their path. And they started talking to me about sunsets and hiking and like low level woo woo, but that was a big deal for them. And so I think that a lot of what we are being called to do right now is to like, we've been hermiting for the last 6 to 9 months or maybe even a year because we kind of needed to do that for ourselves. And now that the energetic space is right for more people to shift, we're being called to get out and move and be amongst others so that they can feel what our energy feels like and hear some of the things that we have to say and how that helps them carry on with things. Even Saturday, I took one of my coworkers hiking with me because his energy was so low that I was kind of concerned for him. And he was a completely different person when I dropped him off, or he was in a very different space, is how I should say that, when I dropped him back off than he was when I picked him up. And then over the weekend, like he flooded me with like photography that was inspiring him and things like that. So I think that people are looking for that right now. And the people that I interface with, like, they are moving so fast and they're awakening. Like all of that uplift is happening really fast. And I think they need sometimes to be around more of a grounding energy, which is what I think I give. So that's what I think we all give.
Mm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just I heard from a colleague of mine who, I mean, we did not really become friends, but we kind of connected, and we had our chats. You know, we met for Friday lunch. I was in a hierarchical position, you know, as her not office manager, but you know, she was a project leader, and I'm the one above everything. But we kind of bonded in a way. And now that I'm gone, she then wrote me and she said, may I call you, just to catch up with you? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I was, you can always contact me, no problem at all. And then she was like, you know what? I missed so much talking to you. I missed so much our chatty Friday lunches where we did not really talk a lot about work, but we talked more about, whatever is going on and around us. And she's like, you know what? Apart from that, you are really missed professionally, but may I ask you to actually just chat sometimes with me? I'm like, absolutely, I love doing that, just to talk about, whatever we feel like. And the same thing I notice also in the philosophy group, where sometimes when we have this experiential, with the gazing, you look into someone to actually create that oneness. We also tried now a few times to just do deep listening, we are calling it. So people just, have 3 minutes and they can talk whatever they want to talk, and you just close your eyes and you listen. And I find that actually it doesn't really matter what they are talking about. Sometimes you latch on to something, but sometimes it's just like you try to, through the sound of the voice of that someone, to actually, connect to that someone in a completely different way. And that's interesting as well, going through this, and then you can actually, because your imagination just starts. There is one lady there. She's an older lady, and she's so sweet. But when she starts talking, I always see just fairies, really literally these wood fairies all around, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is Melanie, and she actually does not really, well, you could say that she is a fairy, but it's just as soon as that voice comes out, it's like Tinkerbells all over, and it's just gorgeous. So
Beautiful.
oh, and on the Tai Chi, Tanya, I actually wanted to start with that, but my brain is just off at times. Now that you made this correlation with the Lemurian and the creation, now I understand why in Tai Chi you actually breathe differently than you are moving. You see, like in yoga, you are breathing in and then you're breathing out to let it go. But in Tai Chi, sometimes it's completely the opposite. You're actually, breathing in whilst you're doing a movement of out, right? And then you're breathing out whilst you're doing a movement of in, which is interesting because it is kind of this reciprocal creation where you actually do something differently when you work with that breath. So very interesting. Thank you for that.
What all of you said, it's an acknowledgement of the unseen. And when we were saying, Jen, when you mentioned the painting, it's like what I've been starting to realize is that when I say it's the process and being in the gallery and all of that, we are painting for the collective. Whatever we do is not just for the people here, the ones we see anymore, but for the entire collective. And also because we're becoming so much more galactified and so much more universally connected, at least through our perception, because of the heightened levels of, like Sandrine was saying, she's starting to see, the different levels of energy just by speaking to one person, right? Now we have to take this on board and actually no longer think, okay, so it's okay, so take an example, one of my paintings. Oh, I need to sell them to a person with physical body. No, it could be sold to someone in the collective that probably won't pay me with money, but it'll pay me with something else. It will exchange with something else, because remember, this whole idea of money is gonna start falling apart.
Oh yeah,
is only just you know, this is not going to work out at the end of the day, because we're going to go straight into exchange of wisdom, of frequency, of soul vibration, and all of that. So what if we can actually add this already to our lives now? And to be honest, we're doing it. All right, it's not about adding it to our lives, it's about acknowledging that if you get to a stage where you feel, oh, I should be, you know, because I'm more embodied now, I should be receiving an exchange. What if you are actually receiving the exchange already? But the form of reception is completely different now.
I would, just since we are recording this, I would point out too, Sean Bibby has written some really good stuff lately about the whole how money is evolving and how money is going to change. Because we talk about that amongst ourselves. I don't know how much we actually communicate a lot of that to a bigger group, but I've been having those conversations a lot over the last year and a half, and I think that he's done a good job of putting some of that consciousness out there to let it wiggle its way into people. But I'm the same way. I don't have to have money really. Like I don't concern myself with any of the monetary aspects of those. Really, I like for paintings to have a home where they can emanate what they're supposed to emanate for whoever's there. It really isn't about the validation of somebody wanting to buy it or me having more money in that. Tanya also loved what you said about the elements, because I've really been working with the elements a lot more, getting back into Kuji-yin, because I always pull the elements into my Ren fire, right? And so I noticed when I started doing that again, when we started the Kuji-yin class, that like I could really feel them, and I could feel when my body needed more fire. I could bring water out to wherever I was. That connection with the elements has been really prevalent the last couple of months. And I think that in the space that we're in, going back to what you were saying, Martina, I think part of the energetic exchange that I get from my bubble of reality is I put my energy out in the form of art or healing or communicating with people, and I get it back by being even more connected and being able to not control the elements, but use the elements in a way that I need in that moment. So that energy exchange comes in so many different ways. Just requires us to acknowledge it.
Absolutely. To use an example here, so Jenny, if you say you do a painting and you're not selling it, but at the same time you're concluding a business transaction that creates prosperity, abundance, money for the company. So we can no longer make make a distinction between that. And then also for those who live with partners or husbands or wives or something, we can no longer make a distinction between, oh, my husband's making the money and I'm not, or I'm making the money. Because it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And this is the one thing I've just been looking at the other day, because I've got a situation now where I've got all these people, my people, living in different places, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is no like holding hands or sitting together or, eating even at the same table or anything. And before Emzy actually left, I said, Emma, you know what? This new way of togetherness is now the appreciation of each other's existence. Mm-hmm. Is your life better because Papa exists? Is my life better because you guys exist? Fuck yes. Even if I don't speak to you on a monthly, weekly basis, just the pure existence. And this is so important now, because that's taking us back to the embodiment. The embodiment of the energies, just by us anchoring in the energies at the various places that we are. And this is why we are often displaced as well, because we need to start anchoring in, embodying, walking the ground in those different places and just exist.
Mm-hmm.
what would it be like for having your people not exist? It makes a huge difference when somebody moves on physically from this earth plane. And it doesn't matter, we all know they're going to carry on living, but the physicality of that person is gone. And that existence makes such a difference because they're no longer anchoring the energy on this planet. Yeah, of course, the soul is around, and the connection, the communication continues, but the physicality is coming, this embodiment bit, where we were saying is like the new motivation is movement. And then, Tanya mentioned motion. It's no longer, it's a new kind of doing. It's no longer doing for the sake of it. It's motioning, embodying, flowing. There is this feeling of movement. Moving could be one step to the left, to the right, to the front, to the back, up, down. It doesn't really matter, but it's that physicality, I think, that is becoming particularly important now. That being in the present moment, that anchoring in. And one more thing I say, and then I shut up. It's like all these archetypes of the healer, of the teacher, of the sage, of the blah blah, all the other archetypes that we have redefined over the last couple of years and done all the healing. This is now what we're stepping into, or they are stepping back into us, whichever way you want to look at it. And when Jen is saying, it's like she's doing this, the healing, and then she's the engineer and everything, that is the flexibility of that motioning, that shape-shifting capacity that we have to embody all the archetypes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We're all of them. And none
And
of them.
now we don't need to wear the different hats for each one because we just are all of it.
It's whatever we want to be.
Yeah, and we no longer have I'm the teacher, I'm a healer, I'm the artist. No, you're fucking everything. And you just bring out whatever's required. There might be a day in the gallery where I'm not talking about healing. And then all of a sudden I have 3 people come in and I have to bring the healer archetype up. It's the same with Jen, right? Or anyone here, Jen is a good example because she's got this engineering one side, and then all of a sudden she steps into the healer, right? That kind of thing. And it just, whatever's required at the time, that's the flow, but there has to be a movement again. And it's like an outside moving again. And I want to, is it an outside moving, or are we bringing these people now into the inside world that we have created for ourselves?
Well, it's more the losing of the individualization, where we're bringing everything into unity again, into oneness. This is what is happening. There is not just by individualization, I mean here, this distinction between these different types, of whatever we are, the 2 souls or the 1500s, that you have inside of you. It's not like this thing, okay, today I'm going to be nasty one, today I'm going to be nice, today I'm going to be this, the healer, and blah, 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 blah. But it's, now we are really bringing them all together into oneness, but by working through the individual that we are, in the unification of it, through the outside, in a sense, or inside. It depends on where you want to go.
So, pulling a couple things that everybody has said. What's coming to me now is Martina was saying how we are becoming more galactic and we're becoming more aware of that galactic nature. When I had that first mushroom journey last fall, like what I really took away from it was that I'm not on the mothership, I am the mothership. And I see, like, I'm getting ready to go to Iceland next month, and I see myself having a really profound experience meeting me as the mothership there. I don't have an expectation of that. I just see that coming. And so I'm acknowledging the reality of that, right? And we talk about like the hologram And I think that before now I had really thought about the hologram as being something outside of me that like the system of domination and control places in front of us. But I realized like as we're talking that that hologram is me. It's me creating that construct. And yes, I've got influences that give me suggestions for where I'm limited and all the programs that we talked about and things like that. But I really see now like how we are the creators of our reality through our hologram. And I see it like projecting out through my third eye, which is why I keep touching my forehead. So I am starting to understand in the physical form how all of those things come together, and that like that creates that oneness. Because when we can connect with the real core of who we are outside of the body and be one with that in the body, how that shifts our ability to create more of what we now want to see in our hologram. Because even though we think that there's politics and law enforcement and money systems and things like that that limit us and keep us within the lines, really that's just our acceptance of those, and we can shift them in so many ways by being more aware of how energy comes back to us in so many different forms. You saw a lot of pieces of the puzzle that came together as y'all were talking.
I think it's really important to appreciate that what you just said, because there is not just one hologram, because there's not just one matrix, because there's not just one reality. So you're not caught in the one matrix, because you as the being, the soul, with that technology creates holograms, realities, matrices all the time. It's almost like the matrix is a bit like a timeline. There's not just one timeline. And the understanding is obviously now is that, yeah, it's the pineal gland up here, that's the mind. And then of course we have the pineal gland in the heart, and then we have the pineal gland in the gut. And we've talked about this a million times, is the real heart activation is to bring the three pineal glands together, to work together, and then work with a galactic heart, and then work with source, and then work with the matrix, the primordial matrix. And the glands. I've just done doing the heart activation with Isa. I mean, the 9 glands are so they are part of the heart activation, the 4 chambers of the heart, because the glands are literally connected to the hologram, to the matrix, to the heart at the end of the day. And we've got to bring this all together, and then obviously the left and the right brain. And as we're bringing all of this together, this is another thing, true embodiment is connecting those 3 pineal glands, the heart, the mind, and the gut. That's the true heart activation, the realization that then the heart by itself is not enough. The mind by itself is not enough. The gut by itself is not enough. It has to come together. And then from there, it has to connect to the galactic heart. It has to connect to the source. It has to connect to
the layers and layers of all the multidimensional time matrices.
Exactly.
Matrices.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
I was watching Nova, and I was watching this episode about the creation of stars, and they've been studying the cosmic web, these different astrophysicists. And the cosmic web, I just got done watching the Stargate series and Stargate Atlantis series, and the cosmic web to me looked like the stargates, right? Like the wormholes that went from point A to point B. They were showing the creation from Hubble of this star, this blue star that exploded. And what I was seeing as that star was exploding was that here is an intention from higher dimensional energy that is showing up in this dimensional matrix and creating a gateway for higher dimensional energy to come through in the form of these kids that are incarnating on the planet. I follow this lady called Grandma Chandra, who I met at the Star Knowledge conferences, and she and her mom do channeling from higher realms. And this last channel that she did was talking about the children, like watching the children and the awe and joy that they have when they're playing, right? And just like interacting and what they're experiencing. And I mean, all of us have held so much space for all these little beings who have incarnated on the planet, throughout the course of our life, of course. But recently, because of these high frequency energies, more of these high frequency soul beings are now able to get through and incarnate on the planet like they weren't before. And so, like, looking at that like joie de vivre that those little kids have when they're exploring something new. Or like, we were at the ball game the other day and there were a couple kids sitting in front of us, like eating popcorn and cotton candy and ice cream. And they were just like all jacked up on sugar, but they were having so much fun and, just like experiencing this whole new thing that they didn't experience before, that you could see, I don't know, like energy sort of sparkles around them because they were just having so much fun. So I think allowing also that joie de vivre to be reflected back and regrounded, right? So more of that can happen. And I think I'm seeing the same thing with animals too, where animals are always in the present, right? They don't hold grudges and think about what they did yesterday or what we did yesterday. They're just always like right here and right now. And so I think that's something we can just like learn from the the presence there, that presence, being there, being anchored within that. Sorry, I missed what you said, Sandrine.
No, I was making fun. I was saying except for cats, because
except for cats, because they're in many presents at once. So yeah. You didn't feed me my tuna today.
Before I have to leave, I have been reordering the Holy Trinity in a sense that, when I told you guys that I was thrown back to the beginning where the first two hydrogens met.
Yes.
And it was an incredible moment. And now I'm actually moving on to them meeting the new kids on the block, who is oxygen, and it has been mulling around since 2 days now. You have hydrogen and oxygen, and that becomes water, which is what we are all made of on this planet here. I'm not talking about the galaxy. I'm talking about here, this planet. I'm being called to Gaia, or Gaia is calling, or Gaia wants to send me a message, or somehow, I have no idea. But and I was like, yeah, it's you have two hydrogens, which is thus the individual and the soul, in a sense, and the oxygen that brings everything together, where you latch on, and this becomes the creation of everything through liquefaction, because that is how we are created, right? Through liquid. We're not being created through air. We're not, again, on this earthly realm, everything goes through water, right? It has to go through, otherwise it's not working, the spermatozoid swimming and stuff like that. And we are created in water, and we come out through the water, and then we go back into the water, in a sense, as well, right? So yeah, this and I was reordering in my head the Holy Trinity. What if the ancient civilizations have been showing us that all the way. You know, they were just using metaphors for this Holy Trinity, that in a sense this Holy Trinity is the two hydrogens and the oxygen as well. You know, there is the force, and then because hydrogen is the most powerful, and together they're even more powerful. And then, you know, paired with oxygen, you have the generation. You know, you have the power, you have the destruction, and you have the generation. So when Jen was saying that she always calls in the elements for her Kuji-in, I started my Kuji-in, and I started now every morning by calling in the force of, you know, the generation, the force of destruction. You know, I'm calling in those forces because that is how I'm feeling through it, in a sense, you know, because that is then how the elements are made anyways, you know. So yeah, that was it's very, that journey is very interesting. I'm looking forward to where it's going to take me next.
When you say that journey, for people who are listening, how does that materialize for you? How does that come? Is it through dream time or thoughts that just appear?
It's mostly through it's very feeling as well. So the two hydrogens meeting was really this, how two foreigners meet, in a sense, you know, and how, you know, like with Tanya was talking about animals, how, you know, two dogs would meet up for the first time, you know. So what can we do? Are we going to be aggressive to each other? Are we going and smelling each other a little bit, and then suddenly like, but you smell kind of interesting, and you might, are you playful, are you not playful? And then, okay, where's the potentiality in when we get together now? What would happen, you know? And then taking that step and, okay, oh, we are actually now more powerful together than anything else, you know. So, and then, you know, where it all goes through that. And then oxygen only came around, you know, this is how Earth was created. But, and then these two latched onto oxygen, and here we have water, which is then the source of, and the not the source of, you know, which is actually life, you know. That is where kind of it started. And I'm not saying that these elements cannot have consciousness. For me, that is clear. Everything has consciousness for me currently. Everything, atoms, electrons, nuance, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I mean, you could also throw in to further explore that, you know, subject matter. You can use the triangle as a geometry that is the basic geometry.
Exactly.
You're just exploring here. And then, of course, plasma. Expand on the water through plasma as well, you know, and bring that in and see where that takes you, you know. Yeah, amazing. Because those are the three things, isn't it? Geometry, biology, and what's the third one? Can't remember.
Plasma?
No.
Geometry, biology, and
Obviously etheric, you know, kind of, I can't remember now what it was. But anyway, you know, yeah, great. That's the third one. Anyway, I can't think about it now. Amazing. Yeah.
I've kept seeing these images of, as we're moving from this time matrix to a higher dimensional time matrix, I keep seeing the image of the cube, like moving into the sphere, right?
Mhm.
And the way that geometrically mapped is just as confusing as the way that carbon maps to silicon as we're moving into into that different type of form of beingness, right? Because we're exchanging. It's like looking at the way, Sandrine, you were talking about the hydrogens combining with the oxygen to make water. There's an alchemy that happens when those elements come together to create something other than what they started
as. And one of the things that I will try to do next is actually I'm going to try to read up more on, you know, how the elements actually were named, because hydrogen was named because it makes water, hydrogen. It's hydro is water, gen is generation, you know, it comes from the Greek. And I just want to find, you know, this is now intrigued my, you know, again, going down the rabbit hole of, but how did they actually, you know, knew that this was happening, you know? How could they actually find out that how water is actually generated in a sense, right? So because it's atoms, but then how did they actually know that? It has a lot to do with the fact that many people are still going in the direction of stating that, you know, we are now going to flower into the God, you know, because God is not the creator. You know, okay, but you know, there is something there, and the force that has created all this for me is, you can call it God, I don't care, you know, but there is something before there, and that it's not only now that we will, you know, create anything out of it. No, it has always been there. It's just now we just become different conducts, you know, and you know, tunnels and channels for whatever is going to come next, right?
Well, and we back up into that awareness too, right? It's like we are guided so much by, you know, Jen was talking about like the different matrix and matrices and holograms, right? That we are buying into, right? So once we like let go and let go and let go and just have our direct connection, then we're really creating our own jurisdictional holographic blueprint, right? That can bring us through all of these different things intact, in an intact way. And I don't even know what that means, but there's something.
Well, yeah, what does it mean? Because it's the one thing is just fall apart, surrender, 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 surrender. You know, it's that let that infinity, that infinite possibilities, you know, they're going to arise from all of that. Yeah.
Well, and that, you know, that circles me back to what's a distraction and what's not, right? It's like we were talking about earlier, this new sense of we've been still for a very long time, and we've been grounding and holding space. And that is purpose in so many ways, just being present in your energy field and embodied. But as we're moving through this next phase, you know, going through this, I don't know, evolution of doing. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Evolution of doing, that's great. That's a good one. That's a good one for the movement that we're doing.
Evolution of doing this.
So what is left of the distraction? How do you perceive distraction now?
I mean, for me, it's easy, right? I can say, oh, that's just, no, that's not for me. That's not mine. But as as I'm working with other individuals, just like I was talking about earlier, I have the sense that, you know, when someone comes to see me for an energy healing activation session, I can see all the energy in their energy field, you know, whether it's in the aura, whether it's in the body, whether energy is corded in, right? And so when that clearing happens, that individual can say, okay, wait a minute, now I'm in my own energy, and every other energy that's not mine, right? Talking back about this individualization, I can let that go. And I think that is a part of the healing journey, or the awareness journey. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I've been taught that I have to be responsible for all of these different things, like my whole family's emotions. I've been taught that since I'm a kid. But wait a minute, what if I didn't have to be responsible for my mom and dad's emotions, for my sister's emotions, right? What if I could just be responsible for mine, but not just from this lifetime, from all like past lifetimes also, right? And where did I incarnate in my ancestral lineage? And I can be responsible for that part, but I don't have to be responsible for all of those other ancestors that created distortion in my energy field, I can just let that go. It's almost like turning on a faucet and letting wash away what is not yours. It's like taking a shower and washing the dirt off. Yeah, there's something that's just very, very powerful about that, of being able to say, oh, wait a minute, is this mine or is this not? Is this an actionable item that I need to work with? Or has this just been thrown at me or projected on me and like landed in my lap? Someone threw it in my lap, and because I'm a highly functioning person and I do a lot of things, I'm supposed to take care of it, right? I mean, that's a whole load of BS, which is the operational system of the matrix that we've been living in, I think. So, for me to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, not mine, right? I don't need to deal with that. I don't need to worry about that. Can I hold space for it, for someone to process it on their own? Can I gently I think you might want to just look at that, and then maybe they will and maybe they won't, right? You can't lead that horse to water, right? But when people are ready, I, invite them to ask, what is a distraction? What is on point? What is on purpose? And I think the energy is shifting so fast right now that it seems like what might feel on point and on purpose one day, when there's a lot of energy behind something, it doesn't matter what, then all of a sudden that energy is gone. And whatever was so hot that day before, it's just like the rug got ripped out from underneath it and the energy just fell right out of it. It's like, oh, well, maybe I was supposed to be just connecting with that for that moment in time. I have this project that I've been working on for over a year. Was really guided last year to do like just very light sun gazing, and then draw images of what I was seeing. And I did it for, about 4 months straight. And then the energy just went away from it. And even yesterday, it came back really strongly. It's like, okay, now it's time to work with all these images that you made. So I started doing that. So I was quite very surprised that energy came back around. I was like, oh, okay, time to bring that into a completion. I don't know. I'll work with it as long as I'm guided to work with it. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like coming full circle.
And that's super profound, because the level of awareness you're working with is where you're not attaching to a certain conclusion in terms of, oh, I've now committed for a year, so I cannot stop after 4 months. No, you're following the energy. Is now the time to stop? Great. Now you stop. That doesn't mean you're going to start again just like you did. But it's that level of allowance where we're no longer using distraction. And something actually that's come up, I remember there's a word, distractor implants. I still remember that from Access Consciousness. And the majority of the emotions are actually distractor implants because they were man-made, like fear, for instance. Fear is not, a natural occurrence. It's actually man-made. So all those distractor implants, basically emotions, as we're clearing out the solar plexus, right? And because the solar plexus cannot merge or connect to the heart and the brain if it's not cleared. So all those emotional distractor implants, an implant sort of, verifies that they are man-made. So look out for those, I'm not so talking to you guys, but ask the questions. Is it mine? Great. No, send it back to sender. And then, is this a distractor implant, or is this actually something organic from the primordial matrix? And the emotions are actually not organic, because back in Lemurian times we never had emotions because we were just empathetic, psychic, no emotions. There was no such thing at the time until we you know, stepped into that individuation journey 21 million years ago or something. We became more and more emotional because obviously when all the harvesting and all that blah, blah. So those distractor implants are still obviously a distraction. So what is the distraction still? Judgment. Any kind of judgment. Any kind of judgment is turning into, I would almost want to use the word abuse now. If you're still judging, you're abusing whoever you're judging, and at the same time, you're going to it backfires onto you. It's self-abuse because you got that coin which has both sides. You know, so be really, really aware, more and more and more people who are listening to this, that polarization of this is good, this is bad. And there's also, we've said that before, it's not just the goody two shoes, positive passion, la 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 la. That's a distractor implant as well at times, you know. And that doesn't mean that you can't experience joy and you become a cold, you know, little bitch or something, you know, past. You can totally appreciate, feel the joy, feel the compassion when you get into that level where you're no longer working with distractor implants. There's something else I was going to say about distraction. Question. Good question I heard the other day. Perfect. Thanks for letting me ask that question. When you're in a certain situation, when you're with certain people and something feels a bit off or, you know, that kind of thing, then you know go with a feeling. There's a lightness or a heaviness. When it gets a bit heavy, what's going on, right? And the question is, having this person in my life, who am I or what am I when I'm having this person in my life? That sort of doesn't put the blame on the person if you're pissed off with him, but it actually allows you to look at yourself. Who am I becoming when I'm with that person? Who am I being when I'm with that? Or what am I being? Because we got to use the what as well, because we're not just saying, we don't want to identify with whatever the answer or the awareness is that comes in. It's just, what am I being when I'm with this person? And then, of course, is this person still a distraction for me? Am I distracting by, you know, spending time with that person? Or is there still something to learn? Is there still a frequency that, or is this, you know, whatever that is. But anyway, that's a question is good. So who or what am I becoming when I'm with this person or in this situation? And then just ask yourself, I mean, am I aligned? Am I still aligned with that? Do I want to be that? And then obviously the next level is, what am I distracting myself from? By allowing to be within that situation. So for instance, you know, you go to a party and there's a lot of booze and people drink and la la la, and you're starting to feel a bit heavy or something because you're also having a drink or two. And who am I being when I'm here in this place with these people? It's not blaming them because they can do whatever they want, but who am I becoming? Who am I being? You know, what am I shape shifting into? Is this a distraction? Or is this really what I want to do? And if you want to really do this, that particular evening, want to get sloshed, then that is absolute, there's no judgment in that. Because you are not changing into something that you don't want to be. You're just making a choice. It's different, you know? So yeah, that I thought it was a good question. So I use that a lot now. Sitting in the galleries, who am I being sitting here? And I'm like, is this a distraction? No. And it doesn't, I don't need to know what it is, because I'm not getting an answer. What is it? It's irrelevant. You've chosen it. So just let it unfold. But I'm not being somebody else that I don't want to be by being there, even though, you know, you do get a little bit bored, but yeah, it's a choice too. Go for coffee. All right, done this. Went to there's a little, I said to Sandrine once, there's a little cemetery there. I thought, I need a cemetery today. Got myself a coffee and a little eclair and went straight to the cemetery, sat there. I'm like, oh, I'm home. And it was only half an hour. And I thought, well, that's a choice. Yeah. So, yeah. Distraction. Yeah. It changes now. And you were talking about food, animals eating. Oh, I can't remember who said. Do you find that as well, that that I speak for myself. I no longer care what I eat. I used to have much more of a, oh my God, you can't eat this. You're not supposed to be eating this. And then I ate it anyway, you know, and then I was like, oh, for God's sake, now I'm bloated, la, la, la. I'm no longer bloated because I just eat whatever I want without having a point of view about it. And I'm like, wow, why didn't I do this all these years? I couldn't do it for whatever reason. I do.
Well, and maybe the energy wasn't aligned for you to be in that state yet.
I also know that I had to add something to my life. You know, because all these little addictions that we call addictions, or those little habits that are slightly destructive, are usually indicators that, what can I add to my life? What can I add to my life? And as soon as you add something to your life that makes you feel good, all of a sudden you don't need to go down into that. You don't need to pull the drawer open, right? And this is another thing I learned with Access. I'm so grateful the few years I spent with Access, because when you're a compulsive creator, and it's nice to remind ourselves of that. I was also talking to this dad today with the autistic child, and you know, she's frustrated, and you know, and I said, yeah, because what, do you give her one canvas? Are you joking? She needs 5 canvases lined up.
Mm-hmm.
What can she add to her life? Frustration is exactly that energy that she's not creating, she's not embodying. We can call it now, you know, based on what we're talking today, this energy that is available to her because of her level of awareness as someone on the spectrum. And you don't have to be on the spectrum to have those levels of awareness. They need to be used, because otherwise they're going to start imprisoning you. The more awareness you have, the more you have to embody the energy. You don't need to meditate anymore at this level. For what? You have the energies are there. You have an awareness about them. Embody them. Move with it in any kind of, just create. We are creator beings. Movement, creation, motivation, movement, motion, flowing.
There was a lady I followed for years and years, Rana. She started as Rana Herman when I met her back in 2000. And I went to a workshop. She was a channeler of Archangel Michael. She passed away earlier in the year. And for years, you know, starting back in 2000, 2001, she was talking about the state of being in the alpha mindset. So she talked about it as living as an alpha master, where you're in that meditative brainwave state of alpha, where your brain waves are not quite theta, but they're not beta either. So you have the ability to be and embody this meditative state as you walk through the world, right? With each step you take, right, that is a meditation. With each thing you do, with each flow, with each rhythm, with each brush stroke, with each step, you know, you're in that meditative state, which gives you this open, energetic awareness of where to flow, how to flow next. right? Instead of being in judgment, instead of being in like directive, oh, I have to get this done. I have to get this done. I'm running late, right? All of that mindset just goes away when you're holding that alpha brainwave state. And you can walk, you can swim, you can, sleep, you can sit and meditate if you want, you could paint. It doesn't matter. You have this ability when you're holding that state of being, that state of brainwave, you have this ability to connect to that multi-dimensional time matrix all at once and be in this state of hyper awareness without the hyper vigilance that that goes with that beta state, right, which connects to the fear in a way.
Absolutely. And again,
Hi, Anamate.
Hi, sorry, I had to go to the repair cafe. I have a lot of things going on with my computer and my phone.
no worries.
Nice
Great
to see all of you today, by the way. Great.
I was just going to say, great reminder, Tanya. And now I can't remember what the reminder was all about. Whatever you just said. What
about being in the alpha brainwave state.
Yeah, meditation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
walking, living, meditation.
A redefinition of meditation. Oh, bye, Sandrine.
Hey, Sandrine.
Bye, thanks for coming. It's that you just beautifully actually described the outcreation of meditation, right? The embodied meditation. That is because meditation has always been sort of associated with stillness, right? But stillness is still good. You can still be in your shunya because you're being in the heart, connected. But there's a movement with it, There's a movement with it. So it's a moving meditation almost. And there can be thoughts. That's absolutely fine because we do, thoughts help us focus onto the reality that we want to create. So absolutely, but that is a new way of, and I think also it's probably good to look at that for lots of people because they might have been avid sort of meditators and all of a sudden they no longer want to meditate. And what if they, oh, what's wrong with me because I'm no longer meditating, I'm no longer spiritual? No, you don't need to meditate because you embody that stillness, that meditation.
I'm just taking it to the next level, boo.
Exactly.
Lifting up.
Along with or without meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, I think more and more people are in that state. I think I've talked to 3 people this week. I can't meditate anymore. It's like, well, don't. It's more than just your concept of what meditation is. Sitting still and trying to, erase the thoughts from your mind, or like feeling the light and, in all your chakras, blasting the light out from your heart. More than that, right? I think it's a state of being, a state of mind. And if we can hold that space all the time, then things more easily flow through our lives. It's easier to know what's a distraction, again, and what's not. What's relevant? What is my circus and my monkeys?
Yeah,
And what's not.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's almost the old definition or the bastardized definition of meditation is an oxymoron, really. It's actually a distraction now. In fact, it's becoming a distractor implant because think about it, think about it. As we're opening up to our galactic selves, wanting to connect, right, in order to integrate, and then at the same time, we're saying, oh, we shouldn't have any thoughts. We shouldn't, well, this doesn't make any sense. As multidimensional beings, it's meditation for me, if I look at it now, is, I'd call it receiving now. Complete unbiased receiving. That could be my kind of meditation definition, if we have to define it, but obviously it's so much more what you just said. But yeah, it's that complete unbiased, yeah, receiving. What is it for anyone else? Annemette, Herminia?
About meditation?
Yeah,
I have never been able to meditate. It has never been my friend.
okay.
It's not how I get my information. It comes when I'm just out of the blue, like when I least expect it. If I can sit, I can do Tai Chi, but for me, meditation has never been just sitting still, and that never worked for me.
Yeah.
So
Fabulous. So you don't have to
Um,
create it. You never stepped into that old way of
no, but some people were really had nice healings and things for themselves, but it never ever worked for me. I don't know if I was in resistance or whatever, but where I most meditate is when I garden or when I paint. That's when I'm in that state that people call meditating. I don't know.
Alpha state, theta state, brainwaves slow down. It's almost like time, being expandable and contractible.
Exactly.
Right. When you're in that juicy state of alpha, theta, time can expand, and 1 minute can feel like such a long time. And then you like look at the clock, you're like, oh, I'm only been sitting here for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but
I feel
everything
like
is
I got 3
bendable
days
too.
of work done.
It's also bendable. So yeah.
Well, because time is connected to the heart, and when you're in that sort of expanded space, you're working from your heart space, from your singularity, and this is when time disappears. Absolutely.
You know that I'm doing now the cooking practice. I'm going the process again after we finish the class. I have noticed that lately I have for a couple years almost, I have not been able to have like a discipline meditation like I used to have. I sometimes go for a walk. Now I haven't, doing that for a few months. But in the morning I'm doing now the cooking practice. I was working for 1 month with the root chakra, and then I went back to the heart chakra. I'm going accordingly what I feel the chakra I need to work with. Then I did the root chakra for a month. Then I went to the heart chakra for a 12th day, and then I went to the Dentara chakra, the one that is the second one, in the internal one. And from then I moved to the crown chakra. And now I went back to the solar plexus, and I'm doing that process like just flipping around, feeling which one is the one that I need to catch the attention. And because I was listening with Isa, that she was mentioning about how the portal here in the back of the neck, it was blocked when they were talking about the Adam and Eve, that they was taken out of the gardens. According to her, it was not that. It was like because the human at that time, there was Eve was able to open one, let's see, like one side of the brain was sealed, and then with the knowingness and the knowledge, she was able to tap in that knowledge, and that's why we have that chakra in the back. It was blocked, that portal. And it kind of makes sense for me because when I was remembered Don Juan Matus, when they were talking about, for example, the portal that in the back of the heart that is blocked too. because the spiral from the energy coming through to the chakra and go out through the back. That's a very strong portal that we have there, and the other one is in the adrenal gland on the top of the kidneys. Any case, I think in that level we can talk about the chakra is a ring kyo, the chakra, the kyo portal. Then that's got to be with the adrenal glands from the kidneys. And the other thing is that they always talking about that portal in the back of the heart. And the one in the back of the head, I remember when in the Matrix, when they connect Neo, when they go in the Matrix, they get connected through this portal right here in the back, because it's like a center door. And it's kind of interesting how one scene match with another one, because in the Kujin class, we have the nine practice, or the 9 different chakras. It kind of like saying the same symbol in different way. In case, I was thinking that's kind of interesting how one scene tangle with another one. And I always looking for, those kind of clue. Oh, that's interesting. For you going to the Matrix, when Neo was connected to the machine, that that when they had to go out, they get connected through this back. And I was thinking, interesting, because that means that you get connected or disconnected. You get out of the Matrix or you get in the Matrix. I was trying to analyze myself those knowledge, understanding. And it's this is in the Matus world that they was able to go to the world or no, they call the world where there's no shadow. Because the world where there is no shadow, that means it doesn't exist, there is no shadow, everything is light. And the way to do that was through the body, some people call the light body. They used to call my other me. Let's see, that is one physical body and one light body, and then energy body that supposedly goes when we go into sleep. It goes through the second chakra, where we had another brain in the like Andy was mentioned, in the small intestine. We have in the intestine tract is where we have the sleeping body that is stay there until we fall asleep, and then it get out. And in the same thing, when coming out, that portal is open, and then that's a sleeping body that we have when we go out. When we're sleeping, we're going fall asleep. In the moment that we fall asleep, there's like a connection, like an assembling and dissemblance. And it's that's why I was thinking, my theory is that we human beings are like completely a computer machine that has so many different technology integrated. However, we don't know how to use it, because really we are experiencing different levels, and we do it seeing at night that we don't know what we're doing, but completely it's like an open like a ensemble and disassemble something. Like when the heroes that they have in the movie, when they have like a body like a Spider-Man or Iron Man, they have like a body to coming in when they get activated and then get the power. And I was thinking that we have a power inside, but we don't know how to use it to be aware to where we're going, what to do. It's completely like, you completely forget where you go. You can go everywhere, but you don't remember.
Well, I mean, from my perspective, the human body has been so hijacked. Our chakra system's been so hijacked through, like, thousands of years of the DNA being stepped down and closed off. But one of the things I'm seeing lately with that back of the head is that instead of being like a spherical chakra portal, it's locked in a way where the energy goes like out this way instead of being able to be integrated.
Like
And
a repel,
so,
like a repelling out.
almost like like a hook, right? So instead of having like a central channel, that portal goes this way,
Oh,
right? So instead of
yeah.
being able to integrate into the whole, it's sort of like locked in this directionality, which it's not functioning the way it's supposed to function. It's bringing energy in a way that's limiting. It's almost like those distraction filters that Martina was talking about before, or even like energetic wiping chips that cause us to remember when we're having insights that hold in the energy field. But that sort of like portal of this ascension chakra, I call it the ascension chakra, or the well of dreams. It's this portal that should be like integrating between the third eye and the throat and the crown, right? It's part of the sacred mind that's been hijacked in a way that spherical matrix is not functioning properly because of the directionality. It's almost like think about like putting, can't think of a good analogy, but just think about like a water faucet, right? Where water flows, right? But then you add the faucet, you add pipes, and you get a directionality to the water, which it wasn't having, because water is water. It's, it's all over the place, right? But then the pipes and pressure give it a directionality that causes it to come, through your pipes and then flow out your bathtub or flow out your shower, right? Where instead of allowing the free flow of the energy that would naturally create the sacred mind portal, like that pineal within the sacred mind Martina was talking about. It's working with the pineal, working with the pituitary, but also working with all of that energy in like in the hard palate, which are the adenoids and the tonsils. Like those endocrines work to form that larger third eye. But the way that portal there has been like hijacked, it's like pushing all of the energy that you're creating out.
Yeah, it's like a repelling out from not coming in.
Instead of allowing it to generate in the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's interesting how all those in
Thyroid.
little by little ensembling one another. That's why I said if we'll be able to manage to share we are on, surrounding in human being in general, how the manifesting of the physical body, we won't be so many distortions in this planet, because we'll be learning to how to appreciate it and respect the physical body and respect other people's body too. Because the manifesting of that physical body is something like our imagination, really. And we compete one another for energy flow, because I remember when the Celestine prophecy, when human beings really battle is because they control the energy, because we want to drink from the cup of other instead to drink from the fountain. And then we're competing in different level, abusing in different level, verbally abuse, controlling people through money, so many ways how we manipulate one another. But in the end, we are just looking for that satisfaction of fullness. And that can be done through connected with the fountain or the manifestation of energy or life. the quantum field, some people call it now. However, if we're learning to do that, we won't be so much better in those in this experience or level that we have right now. Sometimes I ask myself, how in the world somebody know that you're going to, your physical body going to die? Doesn't matter how much stuff you can accumulate. Doesn't matter how much power you have. You cannot extend your life, right? And then why is that craziness of killing one another, control one another, for control and dominion one another? And I was asking myself, who is behind that mask or that body that is presenting to us? Because it has to be something that is over consciousness or that being that having used it like a puppy. Because if we're thinking about it, we come in with nothing, we live with nothing, and then we have to controlling one another and killing one another, taking a position to, for area that we know that we're going to leave, everything going to be behind. And then what's the point of this this drama and playground of killing and controlling and manipulation? And then if we think about I can with nothing, I got to live with nothing. And it's like it's make me laugh because I think it's like a play game. Let's see how much we can kill one another. And somebody's behind moving, the puppet moving around. It's like unbelievable.
I think we can summarize it in the question that you asked. We can summarize it in karmic resolution. And this is why Gaia called us in, to let it play out so that we can start something new. But Annemeta's got her hand up too. So what do you think about that? Or
it's not about that. I know I was late, but I had a computer cable that was broken and I couldn't find out which one to order. And anyways, I had to go to the repair cafe to get help. So that was why I was late. But I have been experiencing so strange things since Monday. And it's all up here. Like Monday morning, I felt attacked and I felt like I spun out in vortices like this. I laid down in bed all afternoon. And then after that, yesterday, I was like, fuck it, I go anyways. Then I went to meet my daughter when we went to her dad's house, and I said I wouldn't put my feet over there. I did anyways, and we got to the forest. But then when I got home, I wanted to take a hitchhiker, and I stopped at the bus stop, and then he didn't see me. And then first I thought I should not take him, or there was something like, no, just go. And then I was like, I can take him. And then I pulled that energy in, and then I heard the pavement, and then my tire has got a hole in it, and my beautiful thing on the wheel is and that triggered the heck out of me. And I have been crying the most of this day. I feel like I have been not possessed. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. And now I'm to the repair cafe. When I had to go out of the parking lot with my car, I nearly hit another car because I feel like stay inside for 3 days or something. I would just ask if you have any inputs on that, or if you have experienced weird things going on, because I was so good from Thursday to Sunday, and then Monday, man.
Well, today's a full moon, first of all. So there's this energy of, it's almost like a pot boiling over, right? Where this full moon is this ripeness energy.
Yeah.
But it's also the start of the 13-day cycle in the galactic calendar. So today is the full moon. Well, it was, last night really. And now we have the blue magnetic storm guided by self-generation. So there's this storm energy that's been brewing And, you know, with a good storm, it's going to knock down trees and it's
And
going
me,
to, you know, wash out roads and,
but
you know, but then all of a sudden it gives you the opportunity to create something that is working because it's washing away, again, more of that old energy. So Anamete, we were talking earlier about distraction and knowing what's yours and what's not. So I just invite you to look at what's going on in your energy field and say, okay, wait, no, that's not mine. Bye. That's not mine. Bye. Okay, what's mine? What do I have to process? What do I have to work with? You know, mold it like a little ball of clay and make a cup out of it or whatever, but don't try to work with energy that's not yours.
that makes sense. But then at the same time, I feel it's something very old from galactic wars that I'm resolving.
Mhm.
It feels so deep. I heard it while I was driving, like it's the last big distortion before feeling free. Because I can see what's going on out there, but I can feel it corresponds to something inside, deep in my body that I'm spinning out with. So it's really crazy. It's like double sword, like double. It's very difficult to navigate. But I know I'll get out of it. I just wondered if anybody else had felt so weird. Now I have to perhaps change the tire. I mean, I just changed it last year and I took the most expensive tire. It's just like, holy crap. Like, couldn't it have just hurt the other wheels on the back? They need to get changed. Now, of course, it was not those ones that I hurt. Like, it's just like, why do I self-sabotage? What's all that about? Like, my phone cable broke, my computer cable broke. It's just like, are you kidding me? Like,
Well, I think like Tanya said, you know, what if it's not self-sabotage, or what if it is? And you said it yourself, is that clearing? Because you know, this is the moment now. So when stuff like that comes up now, it's just clearing. It's, in fact, look at it from a positive.
yeah, I can still laugh about it, but yesterday evening I did not laugh, I can tell you.
And just enjoy the opportunities to cleanse the old.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the compassion.
Well,
Yeah,
and
and I was,
you know, when we're cleansing that karmic energy, right, that's been holding in our body for millennia,
that's what I
and we're
feel.
talking about like galactic wars and such, there's oftentimes like blame and shame that is twisted and layered with that, where it's like, oh, something happened where we weren't necessarily at fault, but we were there. And now we're giving ourselves a hard time that we couldn't have changed it or fixed it, right? But it wasn't for us to do that in the first place, right? So this like these chains of events that happen, and just like I talk about the fall of Atlantis for a second. I've worked with so many people who thought that was their fault, right? Because they were working in tech at the time and they were working in, oh, we're just going to see if we can do this, not whether we should. We're going to do a little crystal manipulation and, oh, look at how this is working. And wow, look, we created this with this, right? It wasn't just one event, it was a series of events, right? That precipitated this energetic fall. And it was, deep manipulation and trickery as well. But I feel like so many times when we're trying to process what's going on, there's this blame attached to it because it's intertwined and intertangled with energy that wasn't ours. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I should have been better. I should have done that. I could have
That's
done
what I
that.
blamed
Why didn't
myself
I?
yesterday. I should not
Yeah.
have taken the hitchhike. I should not have gone over to Elena's dad to pick her up. But my
So
intuition told me twice I should not go over there and I should not do that. But then I did it anyways. Like, what's
yeah, so
sometimes it's as if
there's
other strings.
probably, yeah, and like an entanglement that's not, that you're working
Exactly.
with energy that's not your own. So
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
just say, okay, no, let me see what's mine. Let me see
Yeah.
what my part is.
I should
And
do
how
that
can I
as a,
process that?
I should think of that every day, because I can really feel it's an issue on my end.
But you know, that's remind me, Tanya, that when the Matus I mentioned before, he said that when you're thinking about the spoon, instantly you have the plate, the snacking, the forks, the knife, the table, everything, you boom, coming down, because according to them, our mind is a warehouse. And in that warehouse, we have all kinds of programs from everywhere. And because we have so many things in our life that we have not healed or having detached completely, just one little thing that happened, it bring everything back, all that energy. I'm reading a book now called Release. It is amazing how this lady explained how we just, let's see, she was talking about a lady that she went through a very bitter divorce. And she had all the email, all the documents in the bottle that she had in that divorce in the basement in a box. And then when she saw it, she was helping her to disclose her house, because she's specialized to helping people just release stuff from their house about emotion to pain, whatever it is. And she said that this lady said, oh no, when she saw the box with all this fire from the divorce, when she was in the battle to hold the right to keep her kids with her, all that drama in divorce. And then she said, oh no, this one I cannot let this thing go. I have to keep this one. And then the lady asked, why? What is the feeling that you're feeling with that? Oh, because I remember all the thing I had to do, every word I had to say during the divorce, how careful I had to be to say anything that can affect me. It was like putting the whole show again. And immediately she started almost like a crying. And she said, well, do you really need to keep those? That was something that happened maybe 10 years ago. Do you really need to keep all those papers? And she said, no, I don't have to keep it, but I feel if I let it go, I'm going to feel like empty. Because even though it was so much pain, if I let it go, I'm going to feel empty inside. Because we are so used to the drama and situation that happen in our life, that if we let it go, it's like it create like this emptiness inside. And then she realized, oh my God, I had to realize I had to let him go. And then we had a child. However, he had another wife. I had to let him go. I had to let it go, everything. I had to keep moving forward with my life. She was holding all that pain in a box, because inside she couldn't release it, because releasing it would be like a letting go. That's so crazy that how we are. Unbelievable.
It's amazing how many people let their pain define them, right? And carry it as, we've talked about martyrship, being a martyr, right? Allowing pain to define you, to give you a raison d'etre, that reason for being.
Yeah.
So what would her reason for being be if she let that go? We don't know. I mean, maybe it's something totally extraordinary that she had to move through that lesson. But if she's not moving through the lesson,
no,
then she'll never get to the other side of it where there's something new and exciting and interesting.
We closed the door, and there was another one that when she had a child, the first child, and then she planning to have another child, and she has a few miscarriages, and she keep the old clothes for that child that she want to have the second child in the living room in one section. And every time she go in the morning, she just feeling that pain. Yeah, and it's like, but she was not enjoying her child because she was expecting to have another child. She was over for almost 10 years in that process, and this lady helping her to release and let it, and until she realized, oh my God, I have not been enjoying my child, just waiting for the second child and having this crawling here, expecting to have a child that she had a couple of miscarriages and suffering all the time, not enjoying his child that he's has with her. It's like a addiction to suffering. That's why I saw it.
There's
My
a
God.
value. There's always, for every pain that we carry, emotional, physical, spiritual, there's a value attached, just like what, you know, and that value needs to be found.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is where healing becomes that
Yeah.
responsibility, that
Yeah.
self-responsibility, because no healer can do anything if they keep choosing it.
And you know, it's funny because now that you said that, I remember this girl from from the star. She's a Chinese girl that she had very good with science. She worked with the, you know, Mother Earth supposedly, and you know, she's very grounded. And the husband that she has now, he's one of those, you know, new generation that, and he said one something to that I heard like that was like 2 years ago. He said, just put your boost on and do the job that you can let's see, put your boost on and put your boost down, put your boost on and make the job done. You know, it's what like, it's for me, it was so impressed. I said, because we keep, you know, looking outside and afraid to do whatever we have to do. It just no it's what like a no complaint. You have to do the job, you put your boots on and have the job done. That's, you know, it was for me in that moment, it was like, oh, yes, okay, no complaint, I have to do it, just do it and get over with. Right? And then it's interesting because he said that phrase and it catch my attention, said, put your boots on and have the job done. It's like simple like that. And then we all in all this drama, yes, no, yesterday, tomorrow, you know, and then we are caught in this same cycle of suffering and delay whatever we have to do because we are afraid. Of course, because we're afraid, because we have so much drama from ancient time that keeping us not able to move forward most of the time, right? And then it's like, huh?
So maybe we can bind this before we close today. We can actually, because that's a good story there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can, you know, lead that back to how we started, or sort of in the beginning. This is when we use pain and drama and trauma as a distraction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pain doesn't have to be a distraction. Pain, we don't have to make pain significant at all. Because when you stub your toe, well, of course you're going to be in pain. When you burn your finger on the stove, yes, you're going to be in pain. But what if that is not significant? You haven't done anything wrong. You just deal with it, put a bandage on it, put some ice on it, whatever.
Yeah, but it's when we glue a story to it.
But when you glue the story to it, then it becomes, that is the value there. Then, you know? And then that becomes the distraction.
Yeah.
And that distraction fills a hole.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what if we can just look at it as a distraction, pain and drama as a distraction, and then just look at the whole, take out, literally just look at, so what is that hole? And what else you want to fill the hole with? So forget about the pain, forget about the drama, forget about what you don't, is no more fixing. It's like, look at the hole. What hole is this pain, this drama filling?
Yeah. What
and
teaching
respect
me?
the whole.
Or what I have to learn from this, and then just to get it right.
Yeah.
What's it teaching me?
And
What I
usually what we also said is like, when we are distracting, there's something else lacking, missing. So the question is then, what can I add to my life that if I add that, whatever that is, will allow me to not make my drama significant?
Yeah.
Will render the value that this pain is, still providing useless. So it's by itself.
I actually saw something very interesting since Tanya talked to me. I had a big like, oh, because I saw that Elena's dad, he has very much projecting his stuff that he doesn't want to deal with in a very aggressive way. And I can just see how I took that on. But I don't just say, that's not mine, because I'm afraid I'm staying in the little girl instead of taking my power and saying no. And I could just see how I played into that and how that became a whole drama. I mean, he was not there, but it was me playing it out all on my own. I could feel the energy in the house.
Yeah, because it's imprinted. The
Yeah,
pattern is imprinted in the body. I
exactly.
mean, that's we've had this discussion before, where you have to allow that little girl to finally grow up.
Yeah, exactly. But
Right.
I just wanted to share because when Tanya talked, the 5 minutes after, I saw what it was. That if I had not like been afraid or whatever, I would just said, no, that's not mine. I move on. But that's not what I did. So
That's okay. We all like with awareness, right? With our continual awareness of what's going on and questioning, we come to that understanding, and then we can let go of what's not ours. My dad would say, "Oh, problems are just opportunities dressed in work clothes."
yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful phrase to actually finish today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank
holding
you so
space,
much for being here.
Martina. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Love you,
you.
ladies.
Bye bye.
We got it recorded, so if
And
you
happy solstice. The solstice is in 9 days. So look at what you can do
next.
to ripple that forward. I'm going to be traveling for the next 2 weeks, so I won't be around.
Oh, you'll be traveling. Okay. We had a plan to talk about it, but anyway,
See
thanks.
you. Bye
Tanya.
bye. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Happy travels, Tanya.
Thank
See you
you.
soon. Bye.